In my past life, my father conned me into taking on a $5 million debt. While I was dodging calls from collectors, hiding in the shadows, and being hounded to the point of suicide, he appeared before me. He loomed over me, his voice a low growl. This is what you owe me for bringing you into this world. Who else's fault is it that you're my son? Then I was reborn. Reborn in the exact moment I was about to sign for the first loan. Leo, just sign your name right here. That's all it takes. A jolt shot through me. I looked up, the scene sickeningly familiar. I remembered. This was the first time I signed for a loan for my father, Rick Miller. I was back. I put the pen down. My eyes, dark and steady, locked onto him. Dad, I'm not even 18 yet. My credit's not good enough to get much of anything. I stalled, my mind racing. I need to think about this. It's my future. I can't just sign it away. The loan officer sitting beside us saw my hesitation, and his face tightened with impatience. Rick, are you closing this today or not? If not, I've got a line of people waiting. The pressure made my father's temper flare. A sharp crack echoed in the small office as his hand connected with my face. You little bastard, you dare disobey me? You're signing this for me today, you hear me? He snarled. If you don't even think about coming home. His voice was laced with a viciousness that no father should ever use with a son. I calmly touched the stinging handprint on my cheek. It hurt. Rick, you're just a coward who only knows how to bully his own family, aren't you? I said, my voice low. I'm about to turn 18. You dare hit me again. I'm not a kid who can't fight back anymore. I stood up, towering over him by half a head, my presence more imposing than his. He instinctively took a step back. All right, you little bastard, he seethed, his eyes shot through with red veins. Let's see you try and fight back today. He started rolling up his sleeves. The loan officer, seeing a brawl about to break out, quickly intervened. Hey, Rick, this isn't the place for your family drama. You want to fight? Take it outside. Now both of you get out. It was clear they didn't want a scene they'd have to take responsibility for. If you're not taking the loan, then beat it. There are others waiting. My father immediately became subservient, bowing slightly to the man. Sorry about that, Rizzo. My apologies. I'll just teach this kid a lesson, and then I'll bring him back to sign. With that, his expression shifted back to pure malice as he glared at me. Leo, you get your ass out here. I was unfazed by his anger. The moment we stepped outside the office door, Rick swung a kick at my leg. Looks like you haven't been beaten enough, you little punk. That's why you've got the balls to defy me, he wheezed, his fleshy face contorted with rage. Let's see who's going to save you now. Fine. Let's see if you can even win. I shot back, stepping away to create distance and raising my hands in a defensive posture. I might not be 18 yet, but I was 6 feet tall. I was taller and in much better shape than this overweight waste of a man. I let out a short, contemptuous laugh. Rick, with all that blubber, you think you can take me? I caught his incoming punch, my grip like iron, and stared into his eyes with cold detachment. You think I'm still the same little kid you used to push around? I shoved his arm away violently. He lost his balance and stumbled, falling hard onto the pavement. All right, you little son of a bitch, you've really crossed the line. Fine, I won't touch you now, he sneered, picking himself up. But don't you forget, I can still go home and take it out on your mother. He looked at me with smug triumph. A tremor of pure rage went through me. My mom. In my last life, she and I were his punching bags. When he was drunk, he'd beat her until she was a canvas of black and blue, too bruised to be seen in public. I asked her once when I was a kid why she didn't just divorce him. Tears streamed down her face as she hugged me, her voice weak. It'll be better when you're grown up, Leo. Just be good. Mom's already old, but my son can still get away. My entire demeanor sharpened. You want to hit my mother? I'll beat you to a pulp right here, right now. I threatened, my voice deadly serious. Let's see if you ever dare say you'll touch her again. I drove my foot hard into his backside. He let out an exaggerated yell. Ow, it hurts. Somebody help. My own son is beating his father. A smirk touched my lips. The idiot must have forgotten where we were. I stood back and watched, my arms crossed. Just as I expected, Rizzo and his guys stormed out of the office. They were all big, intimidating men, and their eyes, like those of hungry wolves, fixed on Rick. Rick froze, so terrified he could barely form a coherent sentence. Virizzo. Rick, what the hell did I just tell you in there? I told you to not to cause a scene out here, Rizzo growled. Now what are you screaming about? You want us to give you a reason to scream? The massive, dark tattoos covering his arms made him look even more menacing. Rick avoided their gaze. Rizzo, my mistake. We're leaving now. Right now. He tried to grab my arm to pull me away, but I shook him off. Tisic, what a piece of work. One of Rizzo's men spat as we left. Rick practically ran, not daring to look back. I followed him at a leisurely pace. When we got home, Rick collapsed onto the sofa like he owned the place. He glanced around the living room and, not seeing my mother, started shouting, "Sarah, you little bitch, where the hell did you go?" Hearing him curse at my mom, I walked over. "Rick, are you looking for another beating? You want to play the big man at home now?" I scoffed at him. "A minute ago, you were bowing and scraping chorizo like a pathetic little servant. What happened? You get home, and suddenly you're king of the castle." I tilted my head, my eyes filled with contempt. "From now on, if I ever see you hit or curse at my mom in this house again, you'll answer to me." He flinched, instinctively rubbing the spot on his ass where I'd kicked him. "Leo, you ungrateful brat. You dare hit your own father. I regret not beating you to death when you were a child." His venomous words triggered a painful memory. I was 5 at my grandparents' house. Feeling sorry for my mom, I put a thick slice of steak from the table onto her plate. My dad saw it and grabbed me by the throat, hissing, "You wasteful little shit. Who told you to give meat to that bitch? Does she deserve to eat this? All she gave me was one little punk like you. She should be starved." My grandparents, sitting right there, said nothing, their faces showing complete agreement. A chill spread through my heart. Silent tears rolled down my small face. Seeing my face turn purple as Rick choked me, my mom dropped to her knees with a thud. She started kowtowing to my father and grandparents, begging over and over, "It's all my fault, it's my fault. I'll never eat meat again. Rick, please, let go of our only son. Please, I'm begging you. Please." She banged her head on the floor until her forehead was bleeding. Only then did my father toss me aside like a piece of trash. "Useless piece of shit," he muttered. "Now get over here and pour me a drink." My mother obediently picked up the whiskey bottle and poured him a glass, while I lowered my head, hiding the hatred that was taking root in my heart. Snapping back to the present, I sneered at him. "Go ahead. Let's see who beats who to death. You're getting older every day, Rick, but I'm still young. I can wait you out. But you..." "Ha!" Fear flickered in his eyes, but he wouldn't back down completely. "Don't get cocky, Leo. I've got plenty of time to deal with you and your mother." With that, he flopped back onto the sofa like a fat, dead slug. I immediately went to find my mom. I found her on the balcony, trembling with fear. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. "Leo, your father, he..." I gently hugged her. "It's okay, Mom. Don't be afraid. He won't dare hit you anymore." I felt my shirt grow damp against my back. I knew she was crying. "Mom, do you know how much money Rick actually owes?" I asked softly. "He took me to a loan shark today. He wanted me to take out a loan for him." My mom pulled away from me, her face a mask of worry. "Leo, you didn't do it, did you?" Her voice was laced with terror. "Don't worry, Mom, I didn't. But I'm scared of what else he's done behind our backs." Her eyes darted away, unable to meet mine. I knew she was hiding something. I looked at her, my gaze unwavering. "Mom, Rick is a scumbag. He's making his own son take out loans for him. After how he's treated us all these years, are you still going to protect him?" A conflict played out in her eyes. After a few minutes, she sighed. She glanced nervously over my shoulder before whispering, "Leo, about 6 months ago, I found some collection notices in his jacket pocket. There were several of them. They added up to over $750,000. She broke down, covering her face with her hands and sobbing. "That animal Rick, I don't know how he spent so much money. He never brought a single dime home." "Oh, Leo, what are we going to do?" Hearing this didn't surprise me at all. In my past life, when I was being chased by debt collectors, I once hid in a corner of a shopping mall. And there, I saw Rick with his arm around a woman caked in heavy makeup. The woman was clearly bad news. She whined, "Ricky, you only bought me a $5,000 gold bracelet this time. You used to start at $50,000. Rick boasted, "Don't you worry, Brandy. My son just got another loan for me. I'll have him transfer the money tomorrow, and we'll go shopping." The woman, Brandy, cooed and asked in a sickly sweet voice, "Ricky, don't you care if your son lives or dies?" I heard Rick's dismissive reply. "What's there to be afraid of? If he dies, you could just pop out another one for me, my little vixen. Any son you give me will be my treasure. I'll spoil him rotten." At that moment, my hatred for Rick reached its peak. I finally understood what a clown I'd been. He nearly strangled me to death as a child, and then he conned me, time and time again, into borrowing millions. I started laughing. I was such a goddamn idiot. I suppressed the boiling rage inside me and comforted my mom. "Mom, for now, don't let on that you know about his debts. I'll make a plan. When the time is right, you'll divorce him." I calmly laid out the next steps for her. She hesitated. "Leo, really divorce your father? Do you think I..." "Mom, listen to me," I interrupted. "You should have divorced him a long time ago. What has he ever done besides drag us down? Now he's got hundreds of thousands in debt. And that's just the part you found. What about what we haven't found? Are we supposed to help him pay it back? Where do we get the money? I'm still in school. Mom, do you want him to ruin my life? She started crying again, but then it was as if something clicked. Her voice became firm. Leo, I'll listen to you. Good. I smiled and led her back to the living room. Seeing Rick still asleep, I gave my mom a meaningful look. She nodded. I went into Rick's room and started searching. Tucked away in the back of his closet, I found a stack of receipts for luxury goods and his loan statements. I looked through them, one by one, my face growing darker. He had borrowed that much? The total was already over $2 million. I took photos of every single document and saved them. When I came out, I pretended nothing was wrong and went to my own room. The next day, I went to school. The SATs were only a few months away. I had to solve this problem with my father before then. I couldn't leave my mom home alone with him. I didn't know what he was capable of. I pulled out my phone and started Googling solutions. After school, I saw that Rick had become a different person, especially in how he treated my mom. He put on a show of remorse. Sarah, I was wrong. I'm so sorry for everything I did to you and Leo. I'm going to change, I swear. Can you forgive me? My mom was completely taken aback. He glanced at her, then continued his performance. If you don't forgive me, I'll just kill myself. Sarah, I'm going to do it. He slowly got up and shuffled toward the window, which was still a good distance away. I'm going to jump, Sarah. He looked terrified, but was still trying to act tough, all while keeping a safe distance from the window. My mom looked at me anxiously. I called his bluff. Go ahead, Dad. You're still pretty far from the window. Want me to give you a hand? Hearing my words, he froze, now even more scared to get any closer. I saw the worry on my mom's face and said sarcastically, So, what's today's performance for, Rick? What do you want? He stammered, refusing to say. Was he going to ask me to take out another loan? In my past life, this was his tactic. He tricked me over and over, promising he'd pay it all back soon. But time and again, he made me take out more loans. My mom didn't understand any of it. The moment Rick was even slightly nice to her, she believed he had truly changed. In the end, because of the debt, I got into college, but was forced to drop out after just a few days because the collectors wouldn't leave me alone. After that, my life became a constant cycle of hiding, never knowing a moment of peace. Thinking about it made me want to beat the man responsible to a bloody pulp. But now wasn't the time. I would make him pay for everything he had done. He would get what he deserved. On Wednesday, I came home from school and found the house empty. I searched frantically. The living room, the bathroom, my parents' room, the guest room, the balcony, no one. Panicked, I grabbed my phone and called my mom. No answer. I tried again and again. Still nothing. Then I called Rick. He rejected the first call. The second time, his phone was turned off. A horrifying thought struck me, and I bolted out the door. I ran to the loan shark's office where Rick had taken me before. I was stopped at the door. I'm Rick Miller's son. I was here last week. The guard looked me up and down, probably sizing me up as just a kid, and let me in. I hit the record button on my phone and walked toward the office we were in before. I could hear Rick's voice through the door, trying to persuade my mom to sign something. Sarah, just trust me. If you help me this one time, I promise I'll change my ways. From now on, I'll be completely devoted to you and Leo. I couldn't listen to any more. I kicked the door open. Rizzo and his guys looked up, annoyed that I'd kicked in their door. They glared at me, their tone hostile. You're Rick's kid, right? The one from last week. What do you want this time? His eyes shifted to my mom. I get it, he said with a smug sneer. This is your mom. Huh? So Rick dragged her here for a loan too. Your mom's worth a lot more than you are. She's got a house in her name we can use as collateral. That's worth a pretty penny. I knew which house he was talking about. It was the only thing my grandmother had left my mom, a property in San Diego. It had been an old house at the time, but nobody expected the area to gentrify. Now, it was worth a fortune. My mom was sitting at the table, looking terrified. Leo, your father wants me to take out a $750,000 loan for him. What do you think? Mom, we can't. If you sign, Grandma's house is gone, I said urgently. And besides, I shot a venomous look at Rick. That house is worth way more than $750,000. Rick, your plan is to use my mom's house to pay off your own debts first, and then pocket the rest of the money, right? Oh, and the new $750,000 from this loan. Why don't you just go die? It's a nice little scheme you've got. He was stunned that I'd figured it out. He flew into a rage and started yelling at me. You little bastard. This is between me and your mother. Stay out of it. How is it not my business? Have some shame, Rick. No wonder you've been so nice to Mom lately. This is what you were planning all along. You can forget about us signing for any more loans today. His face turned red with fury. He was about to grab my mom's hand and force her to sign. I kicked his leg out from under him, sending him crashing to the floor. He sat there and yelled at Rizzo with a sly look on his face. Rizzo, my wife. If she signs, I'll have the money to pay you back. And I'll cut you in for 50,000. What do you say? You in? I saw a greedy glint in Rizzo's eyes, and a wave of fear washed over me. But I forced myself to stay calm. I spoke in a low, steady voice. I've already called the cops. Before I walked in, I told them where I was going. If I don't call them back in 20 minutes, they're coming to the address I sent them. I feigned a look of regret as I checked the time on my phone. It's already been 15 minutes. You've got 5 minutes left. You can take your chances if you want. Rizzo. There was no fear on my face, only confidence. Rizzo and his men exchanged hesitant, angry glances. He turned on Rick. Damn you, Rick. This is the second time. First, you bring your kid. He doesn't sign. Now you bring your wife. She doesn't sign, and you get the cops involved? Your kid's got balls. I'll give him that. Now get the hell out of here, all of you. If I ever see you again, it won't be pretty. We were cursed at and thrown out. My father walked out of Rizzo's place in silence. Then he turned to me, his face dark. Well, Leo, you've really grown up, haven't you? Ruining my plans again and again. You just wait. He stalked off. I turned to my mom. Her face was a mixture of fear and relief. Leo, it's all my fault. I almost believed him. If I had actually signed today, I would have been completely ruined by him. I nodded, taking her hand. Mom, we need to hire a lawyer. You have to divorce him. Otherwise, we'll spend our whole lives paying off his debts. He's already coming after your house. Okay, Leo, let's find a lawyer. We found the best attorney in the city and explained our situation. All right, Mrs. Miller, I understand, the lawyer said. First, you need evidence that your husband didn't use this loan money for your shared marital life. Also, I heard your son mention that your husband is having an affair. I'll need proof of that as well. My mom looked numb, as if she didn't know what to say. I took over. Okay. I immediately sent in the audio recording I'd just made and the photos of the documents I'd taken earlier. Next, we needed to get proof of Rick's affair and track his spending to prove the money wasn't used for the family. That was easy. I had my mom dig up her household expense records. My dad never contributed to the household. He never gave my mom a dime. The only money she had was from her small retirement pension. I took a month off from school, telling my teachers it was a family emergency. I was going to investigate Rick myself. I went to the same mall where I'd seen them in my past life and staked it out for a few days. Sure enough, I saw Rick show up with the woman from before, the one he called Brandy. Wearing a black mask and all black clothes, I followed them from a distance, taking pictures and videos of them being intimate. Ricky, when are you going to buy me that diamond? I heard her whine. And you've been staying at my place lately. Doesn't that old hag of yours care? Rick scoffed loudly. She wouldn't dare. Don't you worry, Brandy. I'll get the money from that bitch in a few days, and then it's all yours. Okay, you promised. The woman cooed, rubbing her arm against his affectionately. Rick basked in the attention. It made me sick to my stomach. A couple of scumbags. Let's see how many happy days you have left. I tailed them secretly, collecting a mountain of photos of their affair. I also followed Rick and found several other loan sharks he was involved with. I learned that he had also taken out over a dozen credit cards, using them to make payments on his loans when he was out of cash. So that's how he did it. He was using credit to juggle debt, letting the loans snowball into an avalanche. His promise from my past life, that he'd help me pay back the millions, was a complete lie. I sent all the photos and videos from my phone to the lawyer. For the next few days, Rick didn't come home. My mom and I finally had some peace. One afternoon, my mom and I were coming home from the grocery store when we saw several suspicious-looking men lurking near our apartment. I stopped my mom, whispering in her ear, Mom, let's not go home just yet. There's some guys outside our door. They don't look friendly. Her eyes filled with terror, and she gripped my arm tightly. I told her to wait there and cautiously approach the men. Vince, Rick said we could catch his wife here around this time, right? One of them grumbled. I clenched my fists, listening intently. Yeah, he said this is when she usually goes out for groceries. The man named Vince replied. We've been skulking around here for almost an hour. Where the hell is she? You think that bastard Rick lied to us? If Rick hadn't told us his wife has a house worth a fortune, we wouldn't have even bothered coming. A shorter man said, fawning over Vince. I recorded every word they said, then dialed 911. In the end, my mom and I stayed out of sight, but we watched as the police arrived and took the two men away. I turned to my mom. Mom, you go home first and lock the door from the inside. Don't open it for anyone, not even Rick. I'm going to the police station to see what's going on. Her hand gently touched my head. Leo, be careful. I'm so useless. Making you handle all this by yourself. Her voice cracked with emotion. What are you talking about, Mom? If you hadn't protected me all those times when I was little, I probably wouldn't even be here today. In my past life, besides the time Rick nearly choked me to death, there was another time. I was around 10, during summer vacation. I was playing by the river with a few other kids. Rick was fishing nearby. I saw a little girl fall into the water and tried to pull her out, but I slipped and fell on myself. My mom, who was nearby, was terrified and was about to jump in after me. But my dad stopped her. Let the little bastard be. He needs to learn a lesson about his own mortality. Let him think about it for a while. Maybe next time, he won't be so quick to play the hero. Hearing this, my mom started screaming and crying, begging him to let her go. Rick, I'm begging you, that's our son. How can your heart be so cruel? Please don't do this to him. Leo, he's drowning. Rick, let me go. Let me go. She struggled with all her might. Everything was going dark. Cold river water filled my ears, eyes, nose, and mouth. My arms were getting weaker. Finally, one of the other men who was fishing nearby couldn't stand it anymore. Worried I was going to die, he jumped in and saved me. At the same time, my mom bit down hard on my dad's hand. You bitch. You dare to bite me? I'll beat you to death. He rained punches and kicks down on her. He must have hit her pretty hard. From the water, I could faintly hear my mom's constant crying and my dad's curses. When he was finally tired, my mom painfully crawled over to me. She pulled me into her arms. All I remember from that moment was how warm my mother's embrace was. So many kids who never feel a parent's love grow up to be exploited by those same parents once they see their value. They start trying to please us, approaching us with ulterior motives, and many of us fall for it. We get manipulated step by step into doing things we never wanted to do. Just like me in my past life. Rick was horrible to me as a child, but when I grew up, he started buttering me up. I let myself be numbed by his fake affection, chose to forgive him, forced myself to forget all the evil things he had done. That's why I was so desperate to prove myself to him. That's why I was so blind, letting him use me again and again to take on over $5 million in debt. It led to a miserable end for me, while Rick lived it up on the money I borrowed. My mom went home. I heard the deadbolt slide into place before I turned and headed for the police station. Inside, I asked about the men who had just been brought in. I took out my phone, found the recording, and sent it to the officer handling the case. Then I saw the two men. I walked over, my face in a motionless mask. The shorter man's eyes lit up when he saw me. You're Leo, Rick's kid, right? I've seen your picture. And your mom's, haha. His tone was lewd. I stared at him with cold intensity. I know Rick sent you, but he used you. What do you mean? Vince, the bigger one, asked cautiously. Because he's drowning in debt, and my mom is already in the process of divorcing him. He's never going to get his hands on my mom's house. Your little plan was a waste of time. Oh, a divorce? You think Rick will agree to that? Vince retorted. I looked at him, unfazed. It's not up to him. We have proof of his affair. He's going to be left with nothing, and neither my mom nor I will be responsible for his personal debts. We've already hired a lawyer. He'll be served with court papers in a few days. Vince and the shorter man exchanged glances, then turned to the police and started confessing everything. Since they had cooperated and hadn't actually managed to kidnap us, they were released a few days later. The real show was about to begin. About 2 weeks later, my mom and I were having dinner at home. We heard a rattling at the door. I told my mom to stay seated. I got up and looked for the people. It was Rick. Both of his cheeks were grotesquely swollen and red. His eyes were filled with a vicious rage. When he couldn't get the door open, he started kicking it violently. Sarah, you bitch. You think you can divorce me? In your dreams. I'm not an idiot. You still got that house. I'm not letting you go until I get my money, he screamed. You want a divorce? Fine. Give me the house, and I'll sign the papers immediately. He was holding a large club of some kind, hammering it against the door as he yelled. I watched all of this with cold detachment. It seemed Vince and his crew had already paid Rick a visit and told him that my mom was divorcing him and leaving him to his fate. I went to the kitchen, grabbed a butcher knife, and flung the door open. The sudden movement made him stumble forward, and he almost fell. He was about to curse me out when he saw the knife in my hand, my eyes fixed on him with murderous intent. He was scared. He kept backing away as I slowly advanced on him. My eyes were full of contempt. Rick, what are you doing back here? I thought you'd be dead in a ditch somewhere. With all the debt you have, it's only a matter of time before someone puts you there. His eyes turned red. How did you know I owe money? What else do you know? I decided to scare him. I know everything, including the fact that you've been cheating on my mother for years. You? His face was a mask of terror, his finger trembling as he pointed at me. You little bastard. Get that bitch, your mother, out here. I'm not talking to you. I'll talk to her. I waved a knife at him. He stammered and retreated further. Rick, just wait for the court summons. My mom divorcing you is a done deal. We have all the evidence. You're about to be abandoned by me and my mom. By the way, you still have that other woman, don't you? Brandy? You spent a lot of money on her over the years. I'd say, with all the debt you're in now, you should go ask her for some money to tide you over. She'd probably agree, right? I mean, you two are so close. A flicker of realization lit up Rick's eyes at my suggestion. All right, I'll let you off the hook for today. After I take care of things over there, I'll be back to have a nice long chat with you and your mother. Ha ha! I ignored him and slammed the door shut, locking it securely. That night, I called a locksmith, had the locks changed, and installed the most secure deadbolt I could find. Now, all we had to do was wait and see what he'd try next. This morning, I received a message from the lawyer. He had officially filed for the divorce. I knew Rick would show up again soon, but days went by, and there was no sign of him. Finally, the day of the court hearing arrived. My mom and I saw him there. The swelling on his face was gone, and he had a strange, almost triumphant look about him. Did he have some other trick up his sleeve? We presented our evidence, a mountain of it. When Rick saw it, his eyes practically bugged out of his head. He started shouting at my mom. "Damn you, Sarah. You bitch. You actually had me followed? You took all these videos and pictures." He turned to the judge. "Your Honor, I seriously suspect that this bitch Sarah photoshopped all of this." "Order," the bailiff commanded. Rick glared at us until our lawyer presented forensic proof that the photos and videos were authentic. I watched with satisfaction as Rick's face fell. He tried to argue, but when our lawyer produced another set of documents, he was left speechless again. We had records of all his external debts, where he'd borrowed the money, which accompanies the monthly payments, and all of it showed that none of the money had been used for their shared marital life. "This is all fake. Fake. I don't believe it." Rick kept repeating, stubborn to the end. In the end, the court ruled against him. He and my mom were officially divorced. The moment my mom received the divorce certificate, she burst into tears of sorrow and relief. I patted her back, comfortingly. "It's okay, Mom. I'm here for you now." Rick was left with nothing. We threw all of his belongings out of the house. He was so angry he was practically sputtering, screaming at us. "Sarah, you bitch. Leo, you ungrateful son. You think you can just get rid of me like this? We'll see about that." He gathered his things, spitting out one last threat. I knew Rick must have something else planned. The look on his face in court wasn't right. But what was it? And when would it happen? A knot of worry formed in my stomach. I told my mom not to go out unless absolutely necessary and to keep the door locked at all times. I started following Rick again, secretly. For a while, he didn't do anything strange. He moved all his stuff into his mistress Brandy's place. The woman looked annoyed. She eyed the bags and boxes in Rick's hands with disdain and asked cautiously, "Ricky, are you planning on moving in with me?" Rick acted as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. "Of course. I bought you this condo, didn't I? Brandy, I spent over $150,000 on this place for you. My name might not be on the deed, but the bank records will make it crystal clear." The woman, Brandy, immediately changed her tune. Forcing a smile, she wrapped her arms around him like a snake. "Ricky, how could I ever not let you stay? Come on in. I heard the number, $150,000, to buy this woman a condo, paid in full." I was shocked. Rick must have been completely infatuated with this woman to use his loan money to buy her a home, and without even putting his name on it. That didn't sound like Rick's style at all. My eyes narrowed. This Brandy was more than just a pretty face. I went home at 11 that night. The next morning, at 7, I was back, watching from a distance. He came out and bought 2 breakfast platters, then made a phone call. I couldn't hear what he was saying clearly, something about come quickly. Seeing the breakfast in Rick's hands, my heart felt like it was being pricked by needles. He had never once bought breakfast for me or my mom. In our house, he was the king, sitting at the head of the table while my mom served him like a maid. All the housework was my mom's responsibility. He never contributed a cent to the household, yet he expected us to feed him, all on my mom's meager retirement pension of a few thousand a month. The woman came out. It was a nice condo with a large garden outside. I saw that her belly was slightly rounded. She stroked it with a blissful expression on her face. It didn't take a genius to figure it out. The woman was pregnant. Pregnant with Rick's child. That's why he was being so good to her, even going out to buy her breakfast. Huh, who even knows if that baby is Rick's? I muttered to myself. I had a feeling this child was part of a larger scheme. I didn't think a woman like Brandy would actually want to have Rick's baby. I'd been following them for a while, and I'd seen the look of disgust in her eyes when she looked at him more than once. At 7 that evening, I saw Rick go out, and I followed him. But just before I left, I thought I saw a large, burly man go into the woman's condo. Huh, looks like my guess was right. Rick was acting strangely, wandering around without any real purpose. He'd go into a store, come out a few minutes later, then go into a clothing shop, and come out again. I felt a growing sense of alarm. Just then, I saw him answer his phone. "All right, I can't get away right now. Find a place to hide her for now. I'll be there when I can. His voice was barely a whisper. I had to be very close to hear him. A wave of pure terror washed over me. I realized I had fallen into Rick's trap. I ran home as fast as I could. When I burst through the door, I saw my grandmother sitting on our sofa like she owned the place. I ran inside, frantically searching for my mom. My grandma, seeing that I hadn't greeted her, slammed her cup down on the table. Leo, is this how your mother taught you? You don't even say hello when you see your elders? My hair was soaked with sweat, and I was panting. Where's my mom? I demanded. Where did she go? She told me nonchalantly. Your mother went to visit some relatives. She'll be back in a few days. I knew. My mother had been kidnapped. I looked at her calmly. Grandma, what you're doing is illegal. It's a crime. You could go to jail. You probably don't know that, do you? I know your son, Rick, put you up to this. And you probably don't know why he asked you to do it. I allowed a sharp laugh. Your son owes people money. Before, it was hundreds of thousands. Now it's probably over $1 million. He has no way to pay it back, so he's targeting my mom. But my mom divorced him. She has no obligation to pay his debts, and we don't have that kind of money anyway. Hearing how much her son owed, the old woman shrieked. Oh my God, that deadbeat kid, Rick? How could he owe so much money? He's going to be the death of us. We could sell ourselves and still not have that much money. Leo, you have to help your father. Grandma is begging you. She grabbed my arm, looking completely lost. Grandma, you want me to help you? Fine. First, you tell me where you took my mom. If you don't, and this whole thing blows up, your son will not only be in debt, but he'll also be in prison. She started to panic, slapping her thighs. Oh, what a disaster. I'll talk. Your grandpa and I, we drugged her. She's at the Red Star Motel on the next street over. I ran out of the house and dialed 911. When I got to the motel, I went straight to the front desk and told them what was happening. The receptionist was terrified and, not wanting any trouble, called the police herself and gave me a key card. My fingers trembled as I ran to the room and swiped the card. The door clicked open. Rick and my grandpa were shocked to see me. I ignored them and rushed to my mom, who was slumped on the floor. I fought back the urge to kill Rick and screamed at them. Rick, you and my mom are divorced. Why are you still hitting her? And Grandpa, how can your heart still be so cruel? He opened his mouth, but said nothing, unable to meet my eyes. Rick, however, looked completely unapologetic. So what if I hit her? I've been hitting her for 20 years. You think I can't now? In a minute, I'm going to beat you too, you little bastard. My heart went numb. I stood up and slapped him across the face again and again and again. His face swelled up, but before I could vent all my rage, my grandpa pulled me back. Seeing me restrained, Rick got up to fight back, but just then, the door was thrown open again. I smiled. The police were here. It was finally over. I took my injured mom to the hospital. The examination revealed a mild concussion and facial lacerations. I took the medical report to the police station. In the end, Rick was sentenced to 5 years in prison for kidnapping and assault. Later, because of the enormous amount of debt he owed and his inability to pay while incarcerated, his lenders sued him. In total, Rick was sentenced to 15 years in prison. By the time he gets out, he'll be a broken man. My grandparents, though they were accomplices, were elderly and had been manipulated by Rick. They were fined $10,000. When the news got back to their hometown, they were ostracized by the villagers and lived out their days in misery. As for Brandy, the moment she found out Rick was going to prison, she started seeing that burly man from the condo more frequently. I intercepted the man and showed him all the intimate photos and videos of Brandy and Rick. The man was clearly not a good person. I later heard he beat her so badly she had a miscarriage. He took the condo and used it as collateral for his own debts, then kicked her out. She disappeared after that. We received the official notice about Mom's house. It was scheduled for demolition, and we would receive over $3 million in compensation. I also got into my dream university. We were very satisfied with this ending. I hope that every child who has been failed by their parents can find their own path in life and turn their fate around. The wind will always blow in a new direction, and our stories will continue to write more beautiful chapters in the future.